in tonight. We're, I think, about to start the next section. I am Henry Wilson, the mayor of Hurst, and tonight we also have with us, besides the city manager that we heard from earlier, a couple of other council members. Of course, we have Larry Kitchens, who is your sponsor, your MC tonight. Cindy Shepherd, brave Cindy, and John McKenzie. Back over here, Cindy and John currently new on the council, got elected in May, in June, and we're working them to death. And they're good council members. So I hope that you learned tonight, and it's certainly been a pleasure for the city to sponsor this. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Larry.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate everyone being here tonight. If you've not figured it out, we skipped fall this year, so we're going to go straight to winter. So thank you all for being here. And Mayor, thank you for providing the welcome. Thank the council. One thing about this council that I want to bring up, 6 years ago, we came up with the idea of having the first cybersecurity forum, and as I said in the first session, this council and this staff embraced the idea wholeheartedly, and so this is the 5th year that we have tried to provide the cybersecurity forum. So I'm very pleased personally that we have a city, we have a staff, we have a council that looks at the needs of the citizens and tries to address that need by providing this type of information. And tonight I think is particularly special because the first session primarily dealt with professional careers in cybersecurity for our students. It's the first time we've tried something like this, and I think we had close to maybe 40 or 50 students from Hurst and Lewis Junior High. So I appreciate HEB ISD and taking the leadership in this. I don't know that there are that many school districts that are doing this at this point, but as we talk to the young people, there's a very lucrative career, a very rewarding career in cybersecurity, and there's a demand for those people. So if you're looking for a place to have almost a guaranteed job, cybersecurity, training for cybersecurity is the one place to go. I want to make one thing clear. By the way, Halloween is in October and cybersecurity is in October. I can't think of a better month that we would have the promotion of cybersecurity. I want to make one thing clear. I am not a cybersecurity expert. Anytime I have problems with my computer, I either call one of my kids, or I call Sonny, or I call Henry, or some of the other people that are probably more adept at this. But this is something that we're all learning on. That's something we learned in the first session, that we continue to see that there are things that we need to learn about cyber and cybersecurity. As I said, I appreciate the council, and there's another group that I want to recognize, and I'm just going to put their names out rather than calling out all of the names. Of course, we have the people from HEB ISD, but we also have these list of people from the city that have done yeoman's work in providing all of the work and getting this organized and planned and bringing it together, and I certainly appreciate their effort as well. Tonight we live in a world that is full of ongoing cybersecurity threats. These cybersecurity threats have the potential not only to harm us, but they have the potential of harming our businesses, our government. But what I'm concerned about, because of the crowd that we have tonight, our young people, our youth. They can hurt us. These cyber threats can hurt us financially. If you read the paper, watch TV, if you keep up with news, any shape, form, or fashion, the ongoing threat is cybersecurity. Just tonight, driving over here, I was hearing about that several databases of voter registration have been hacked. That actually you can go out on the market and buy them right now. This is not by Russia or by China or anyone else. This is where someone is founded in the United States. The biggest threats of cybersecurity attacks are coming from China, Russia, but also inside the United States. So it's not always having to be foreign governments that are providing this threat. Um, The fact is, cybersecurity is not an if, but is when. The biggest mistake a lot of people think is that they've never been hacked. They said there's two types of people that deal with hacking. Those that know they have been hacked and those that don't know that they have been hacked. And a lot of us fall in one of those two categories at that point. In 2003, there were 500 million devices connected to the internet. In just a couple of years, there are going to be 7 billion people, more people, but we're going to have 50 billion devices connected to the internet. This equates to about 6.5 devices per person. Now, to stop and think how many devices you have access to on your cell or at home that are actually connected to the internet. I've not reached the 6.5 limit yet, but I appreciate those that have been that interested in going that route.
I think you have more than you think.
It's something that is going to continue to grow and something that we're going to continue to depend on. The problem, of course, when you see something on the internet, it isn't always true. Just as Abe said, just because you have a picture with it and it's on the internet, that's not true. And so this is something that we have to watch out, particularly with our young people. But I would also say to the adults, anytime I go on Facebook and I see something that's posted in the classroom, I do what we were talking about earlier. I Google it. And I find out that 9 out of 10 times it's not true. So what happens though is someone takes that message and they forward it on to their friends, and it gets perpetuated and perpetuated, and so we're adding to that at this point. As I mentioned earlier, we spent some time in previous sessions talking about network security, computer security, password protection, those kinds of things. Tonight, we've taken a little bit different approach, and we've gone in the first session with CareerWise for the young people so that they can start planning now. But I think we start in, what, 7th grade with the program? And by the time they get out of high school, I think probably a lot of the young people could probably have a job just with the high school training at that point. But certainly going beyond that is going to be even more promising for them at that time. Tonight we're going to focus a little bit on cyberbullying. This is not only for young people, but I'm finding that it is also occurring with adults. In fact, with the political season going on right now, I'm seeing a lot of cyberbullying going on as we kind of come up with November the 6th. So I think this is a topic that is going to be good for all of us to pay attention and listen to. And the person that is really responsible for all of this program is Sonny Patel. He is the Director of Information Technology at the City of Hurst, and I'm going to turn over the program to Sonny at this time to introduce our speakers. Sonny?
Thank you, Mr. Kitchens. So again, I'd like to thank Kerry Elledge with HBIST for helping out this evening and helping us get some speakers. So this is a little twist on what we've done in the past. Over the years, we've talked to you about password protection, password lengths, how to change it, how often to change it, how to protect yourself, how to protect your computers. But cyber is not just about your personal computer. Cyber affects a lot of things. One of the big things that is happening nowadays is cyberbullying. So cybersecurity does encompass cyberbullying because there are laws and legal issues that do come about with cyberbullying. So the definition. Generally, cyberbullying is anything that takes place over digital devices. Cell phones, computers, social media, forums, anything online, texting, SMS, or even applications. I have a couple of stories here, and you'll see that it's out there and it is real. So this story was from a 17-year-old girl somewhere in the US, and said there's a site on Facebook that's called Calling All Hoes, and that is actually a live site. I do not recommend anyone go there, but it does show what's out there and what people can, or how cool people can be. This one, and I'm kind of going through these stories very quickly, not wanting to spend a lot of time on them because there are things in there which are emotional. You know, this young girl from Minnesota was cutting herself due to cyberbullying. This is from a father of a 12-year-old in Virginia. All about a group of friends that all of a sudden turned hateful and started sending hateful messages over cell phone, texting, and Facebook, and other social media. So, ultimately, what we need to take away from this session tonight is how you treat others is a reflection of yourself. Please be kind. And also, stand up for what is right, even if you are standing alone. Now this slide, if you do take a picture of it, is worthwhile because there's a lot of good resources here. StopBullying.gov is actually a US government site that has a lot of resources for bullying. Cyberbullying.org, the Women's Center, TC.org, the Bully Project, ParentCenterHub.org, ConnectSafely.org, and CyberbullyHelp.com. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our first speaker, Waris Hussain with CDW. Just making sure I have the right slide.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. So as he mentioned before also about cyberbullying, I just want to take it back before cyber security or cyber environment was there. You went to school in early 90s or late 80s, you get remarks or comments, good, bad, from your colleagues, friends, people you don't like, but that comment about you, about yourself, or anything, stays there for that moment, right? If somebody in my school says something to me, that word will be in front of maybe 4 or 5 people, plus it will be a limited time scope. What's the main problem with cybersecurity is it's a 24/7 thing. If somebody writes a comment to me, or somebody have a harsh message to me, or send a text to me, or video, or anything, it's available on my phone, on my social media, on everybody's social media, 24/7. So that aggravates the problem a lot in many folds. So bullying was there, I think, maybe in late 1980s also. But to make it more significant is because cyberbullying is available 24/7 for everybody to see or to watch. So there's different kind of bullying here. It starts from gossip and sexting. And I mean, there are some harassment comments, derogatory comments about your physical appearance or your way you talk. And so on and so forth. So and there are things which are not here are also part of cyberbullying. So it can be anything which is hurtful to anybody which you say online. Now, there's one important thing that I want to show. These are stats are from one of the major providers of cyberbullying solutions. So they say that apart from 3 young people have experienced threats online, 4 in 10 teens have been cyberbullied more than once. 1 in 5 have tried to think about suicide, and 1 in 10 have attempted a suicide after being cyberbullied. And 10% of the cyberbullied kids have talked to their parents. So 2 important things here. It is aggravated. The fact that there are 1 out of 10 people or victims are trying to commit suicide is very alarming. B, only 10% of victims per cohort. So these two things are very alarming for all of us here. And when I go and when somebody asks me about talking about how to prevent it or how to scope it and limit this problem, when I was thinking about the solution, to me being a technical guy, first started thinking about solutions, like IT solutions. But then I realized later on, IT solutions are there and they're good, but this is not just the IT solution which you're going to play here. There will be awareness, workshops like this or seminars like this, trainings, speaking, talking, learning, watching, letting your kids know, letting kids know what cyberbullying is and how to react to it. So that is a major chunk of solution here, or to prevent. So when I go and see options or things to prevent cyberbullying, let me go through one by one. So first of all, when you create any account anywhere, on social media, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever, LinkedIn, anywhere, normally our normal instinct is just create the account and move on. So please keep in mind when you create an account somewhere, you make sure the privacy is airtight. It's not just that you create an account, put a username and password and move on. Make sure your security settings does not let anything come in. Try to Google your name as the guy was mentioning before, see what comes up. Is there any harsh thing coming up? Is there things coming up which are not related to you? So when you create your social media profiles or online accounts, make sure the privacy is airtight because privacy is prevention. The more secure you are moving to your profile, better it is. No matter it's a professional website, no matter it's a social media website, no matter it's a gaming website, anywhere you're trying to go. So that's first thing. Second thing is go and look to your profiles and these social media, especially social media stuff, and see who's added to your list. Plenty of time we keep on adding people which we don't know, or we have never met, or there are people who are anonymous, especially anonymous people. So the idea is to block people so that nobody can harass you later on, especially those who don't know you. So even let's suppose you have 100 people and you filter your stuff and you found out there are 20 who are anonymous, 20 who are not linked to me directly. So you can block those 20 and try to limit your scope of work or scope of communication to those 80 people. So that's second thing. Third thing is when you, after all of those two things, when you create your profile, you airtight it, you block people, but still there's a close friend of you who is constantly sending you messages, either on phone or your social media website. Try not to respond. And this is very tough because the moment somebody sends an awful thing to you, the natural reaction is to respond. The problem when you respond is you say something very worse than that, or you want to clarify yourself, and you're providing fuel to that conversation. So the guy will say more things to you. So try not to respond and try not to retaliate. Try to stop the conversation and don't move ahead with the conversation, or again block it, I would say. Once you pass these three levels, the fourth and important thing is to save that conversation. Whatever he or she has sent you, try to save it so that you have some proof or some data that this guy or this girl has said this thing to you. And use that same material and share with you somebody. Share with your parents, share with your elder brother, share with your sister, share with your teacher, share with your anybody who you trust and think he can help you or she can help you. Because oftentimes people who bully others, they think they're on cyber world, nobody can see them, which is wrong. And on internet or on cyber space, anybody talking or writing anything is leaving a footprint. So please make sure you save the information and then you share with somebody, and so that they can do something, some corrective action on it. So this, I mean, all these things which you are seeing here are part of this awareness or educating ourselves, our kids, so that they can be more dutiful while working on social media. The other part is technology. So let me see. Okay. So first is parental control. Plenty of providers have parental control apps, which like Symantec is one of the bigger solutions, which gives apps to computers, laptops, iPads, cell phones. So what they do is if they can have a setting on your app where somebody is sending your kid some harmful messages, some videos which you should not be sending, you will get alert out of it. and you can take action based on the alerts. So instead of waiting for your kid to come to you, you can proactively reach out to your kid and say, hey, by the way, somebody is sending you some stuff which is not right, can you talk to me about it? So these kind of, and there are plenty more things which happen in control apps, but this gives you some kind of visibility to your kid's handheld device or internet who are working. The other thing which, as part of city, district, and or a school or any organization you're part of, everything runs on network. Everything runs on internet. So whoever is the faculty in charge or IT in charge, they must have some kind of network visibility and control. There are solutions which can give you who is doing what on internet in your office or your school. For example, there is a DNS solution which gives a data of how many people browse from 8 to 5 websites which are hate crime websites, websites which are terrorism websites. So you can filter out the information and you can talk to the people and you can say, hey, what's going on here? I mean, you can either, and not just that, you can also take some actions and quarantine the machine or stop giving some access to the machine. So what will happen with this, once you have the control, you can push some actions on the PC and they can also make sure they know that everything is being monitored. Last thing, pretty much everybody might have heard, MDM, Mobile Device Management. These are solutions which are managing your devices. So if you have a cell phone and you want to browse internet in here or anywhere, there has to be some kind of application which looks what you are doing in the phone. So that also gives, again, a control and visibility aspect to your working in the internet. And it's not for everybody, like to keep an eye on everybody, but the idea here is to catch the bad face or a person who is trying to access something which is not allowed or should not be as per the policy of the environment. So that's kind of where we go with both of the solutions. However, in the conclusion, I want to make sure everybody realizes that technology does not take the driving seat. The awareness takes the driving seat. We need to make sure our kids, our parents both are aware of cyberbullying and they know how to react to it. So that's kind of all from me. Any questions anywhere?
Thank you, Morris. So next up is, excuse me, I want to make sure I get the title right. Amelia Renwell, the Community Education Coordinator for the Women's Center in Fort Worth, Texas.
Hello. Yes, my name is Amelia Reinwald. I'm the coordinator of community education services for the Women's Center of Tarrant County. And the reason why we were asked to be here is because we are number one, we are the Rape Crisis Center for Tarrant County. So why is that important in this case? Because we provide counseling services to anyone who's been the victim of a violent crime or a sexual crime. That can include things like cyberbullying, things that have carried over into the real world as a consequence of cyberbullying, and it is an issue that frequently happens very often concurring with other types of bullying that happen here in the real world. So, we provide counseling services to victims of crime. We also provide counseling services for free to their support system, because we know that when someone experiences a trauma, it not only affects them, like who it happened to, it also affects the people that they live with, and the people that love them and support them. So that is a service that is offered for free at the Women's Center. I did give out Women's Center flyers. I pray to everybody here. I think my policy in my head was one per table, but there are some more outside on that front table. And you just need to call that number and ask about getting hooked up with those kinds of counseling services. Even if you want to talk about something that happened to you a really long time ago, that is okay. It doesn't matter how long ago the thing happened, as long as it meets the criteria, then we will get you in for some counseling services. Another aspect of what we do, and the department I am sort of in charge of, is the community education department. I'm not really in charge of it. That's Catherine's job. She'd be so mad if she'd heard me say that. I am the coordinator of it. So we provide education services to a lot of different people in Tarrant County. As the Rape Crisis Center, we primarily provide sexual assault education, but we also do domestic violence, interpersonal violence as a whole, cyberbullying, sexting, for parents, for students, for professionals. We're all over the place. We provide the, we provide the sexual assault training for several police departments in the county. We also provide it for several school districts. And one of the ways that we do that for students is through our Play It Safe program, which is where I spend 80% of my time. The Play It Safe program is mandated in HEB elementary schools. So are there any parents here who have heard that? The Play It Safe program? There we go. Yeah, you had a big parent preview at the beginning of the year. So the Play It Safe program is an abuse prevention program. It's a personal safety program where we come into the schools, we go classroom by classroom, we go to auditoriums, and we talk to the kids about how they can recognize signs of abuse, how they can report it to an adult, and what they should do if it happens to them or someone that they know. So it's teaching them to recognize what the signs of abuse are, both physical and sexual abuse, to know that it's not their fault, that it isn't okay, and that they need to tell a trusted adult about it. It's information that all kids are required to receive if they receive an education in public schools in the state of Texas, and we provide that education for free in Tarrant County. And our particular program is mandated in your elementary school levels, but once we get up to junior and high school, even though we do offer the program at those levels about very specific topics, counselors, it is up to them to decide how they want to provide that education to their campus. But just FYI, in case there are any counselors here, we do provide that type of education to middle school and high school students, or I'm sorry, junior high and high school. So sexting and cyberbullying is one that we do a lot. We do it for both middle school level and high school level. We also talk about date rape, sexual assault, dating violence, healthy relationships, all of these things that are available for free in Tarrant County. So I'm actually very excited to, apparently our video is not working. I'm actually very excited to give it over to John, who's one of our community education specialists. We didn't think he was going to be available tonight, to talk about cyberbullying to you as parents. So even though I'm the coordinator of education, that means I'm spending some of my time here, some of my time here, some of my time there. John spends all his time in parent education. So this is his thing. So I'm really, really excited that he was able to finish up at Spring Garden Elementary early. And he is here, and I'm going to go ahead and hand the microphone off to him. But before I do, are there any questions about Women's Center services? It's all on that flyer. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you think of any or you have any later, please feel free to come and ask me. But any now that I can cover? I also talk very fast, so I realize you might not have caught everything I said. Okay, great.
Check, check.
All right.
Test.
Oh, you're doing the body mic. Okay, fancy.
On. Can you all hear me? Yeah. How about now? Check, check. There we are. Bet you can hear me now. Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is John Asbill. I'm with the Women's Center of Tarrant County, community educator. I think Amelia just covered that for me. But since I'm putting on my microphone and I'm having that nervous moment, I'm going over it myself all over again. I want to just give you a quick, thank you. Quick idea of what we do. The Play It Safe program, we reach out to Tarrant County schools. Last year we touched, that's a terrible word. We spoke to 134,000 students right here in Tarrant County. Is that a good number?
Yes.
It's just scratching the surface, all right? We're just getting started, really. Our goal is to get out there and to talk to kids every year and to talk to them about topics like sexual abuse, physical abuse, how to spot the signs before something happens, how to recognize, respond to, and report physical and sexual abuse. When we get up into the middle school, intermediate, high school years, as Amelia said, we get topical. We talk about things like sexting and cyberbullying. And my role is talking to parents and educators about sexting and cyberbullying, as well as other topics that we cover. We'll try to, there we go. So there's not so much ring. So There, okay, so I've got a couple of things queued up here. So I see a lot of students, I see a lot of young people in the audience. Can I just get a quick show of hands? How many of you live with a cell phone in your pocket or on your person or with you pretty much 24/7? Okay, grown-ups, you too. Let me ask you a question. How do kids use their cell phones? Parents, I want to hear from you. How do they use their cell phones?
Games.
What's that?
Games.
Games? Okay, what else? Videos? YouTube? Yeah? Fortnite? I didn't hear that. Fortnite come up? Yeah, okay, I'm a mind reader. Yeah, you know what, I ask that question a lot. I say to parents, how do kids use their phones? You know what I hear? Ugh. You know what the reality is? Kids use their phones exactly the way their friends use their phones. You don't believe me? Look at your social media profile. Parents, how many of us in the last 30 days have taken a picture of our meal and posted it on social media? Nobody wants to see what you're eating, but somehow we're compelled to take a photo and upload it anyway. You know what? We all do it. We all do exactly what our friends do. So I can stand up here and I can tell you about the dangers of Kik, Twitter, Snapchat, you name it. Whatever app it is, it's here today, it's gone tomorrow. The reality is, it all comes down to behavior and what we teach our kids with their cell phones. How many of us are looking forward to teaching our kids to drive? Okay, a lot of kids, not so many parents, right? Okay, when we learn to drive, I want you to think back when you learned to drive. Did your parents just go, what, are you 16 now? There you go, good luck. Is that how that went? Take the family car out for a spin, see how you do, right? There was a lot that went into that. You probably spent a lot of time working on gas, brake. Probably never even left the driveway. Pull it forward. Oh, stop. Okay. Back it up. Okay. And stop. Pull it forward. Am I right? That's before you ever even got it out on the road. And then before you got it out on the road, you didn't just master gas and brake. You mastered what's a stop sign, what's a yield sign, what is that crazy sign with the arrows doing this? What's that all about? You had to learn all of that. What's the yellow line? What's the double yellow line? What's the white line? Right? Because if you don't learn all the lines, then you're going to really quickly learn about red and blue lights, right? Okay? So we have to learn the rules of the road. But is that enough? Is that where they go, you know what? I feel like you've mastered this now. Take the family car out for a spin. No, you had to get it out in the parking lot. You had to master maneuvering it. But even beyond that, there was more. Okay? There was more. You had to learn the expectations. What expectations your parents had of you. And I bet, parents, how many of us remember every time we took the car out, how many of us remember the talk? Right? What's expected of us with the car? Don't bring it back with the quarter tank of gas and expect me to fill it up in the morning. You know, don't go over here, don't go past this limit. We set limits, we communicate those things. Here's the thing, those are conversations that are healthy to have, and those are conversations that are normal to have, and those are conversations that pertain to driving a vehicle, driving a 3,000-pound piece of machinery down the street. It is a weapon. It's capable of destroying lives. But we're entrusted with that at a young age only after we've been educated, taught how to use it, empowered, and had discussions about what our expectations are. And then let me ask you this. How many of us, when we took the car out, our parents handed us the keys and then said, I'll be in the back seat? Anybody? At some point they had to trust us. At some point they had to say, okay, I believe you can do this. But here are the expectations again, just in case you've forgotten. Okay? And away you go. And they trusted you to go out. They trust you to drive this 3,000-pound piece of machinery around and not injure somebody or yourself. And not violate the rules. If you did violate the rules, then when you came home, yeah, there were consequences. Okay? But think about that. And now let's look at cell phones. We put a cell phone into a kid's hand. Is it also dangerous? It's not a 3,000-pound piece of machinery that can kill somebody, but does it have the power to alter somebody's life? Talking about sexting, sending a picture, seems harmless. Ka-chow. Okay, if I'm under the age of 18 and I'm partially nude and I just took a picture of myself, what did I create? I just heard the kids say it. Say it again. Over here I heard. Yeah, what kind of pornography? Under the age of 18, that's child pornography. You think any kid in the world who's thinking, hey, boyfriend, girlfriend, check this out, good job. You think they're thinking, watch me create some child pornography. They're not thinking any of that. And when they send it, do you think they're thinking, I hope I don't get caught for distributing child pornography? Do you think they're thinking about that? Okay? When they send that picture, there's this trust that happens. I'm going to send it for your eyes only. And that person's going to get it, and they're never going to show a single person. Is that how it happens? Okay? They get that photo, they go, whoa, dude, check this out. Okay? Or, whoa, bro, look at this. Forward onto my distribution list. Okay? In fact, we know that as much as 80 to 90% of sexts that teens send to one another are leaked. The majority of those end up on adult websites. Does this scare anybody? There are predators out there that look for this material. It gets uploaded onto websites. We lose control over it. Okay? You think teens are thinking about that? When they're in the moment thinking about, ka-chow, here's a sexy gift for you, or bam, won't this be hilarious? As many as 1/3 of teens have sent a text, a sext. By the way, they don't call it sext, do you teens? You don't use the word sex, that's for old people. Sexting, old people say sexting, teens say nudes. Am I right? Okay, yeah, I speak your language, I know, all right? I'm in their head. So here's the thing, parents, we have a responsibility. Let's go back to that car analogy. Before we put a phone into their hand, a phone with the ability for them to make terrible decisions that are going to affect the rest of their lives and potentially the lives of others around them, let's have some conversations. Let's teach them. Now, I know the analogy of teaching them how to use the gas and the brake and the gas and the brake. That doesn't really hold true because these are first-generation digital natives right here. They've grown up with this technology. At the age of 2, if you hand them a piece of paper with a picture on it, they would go like this, right? Trying to make the picture get larger on a piece of paper. Am I right? Okay? They know how to use this technology better than we do. And that should scare you a little bit. Because they know how to use the technology better than we do. Here's the thing. If they're thinking of this device as a device, okay, that they're going to use to share something privately, anybody hear a contradiction there? To share something privately? This device is made for one thing and one thing only, and that is to blast out to the entire world what it is that we want the world to see and to know. It is made for sharing. And if you're thinking, I wonder how I can keep something private on this device, you're already failing. This is a conversation we need to have with kids. They know how to use the technology. Do they know the rules of the road? And more importantly, do they know our expectations? And every time they get that phone out around us, what conversation do we need to have? What are our expectations? We need to know not just what apps they're using, how are they using them? The good news is the majority of kids use these apps completely harmlessly. They use them for completely harmless applications. There's no harm to it at all. There's no malicious intent. They're not getting into any trouble. So if we just crack down and say, you cannot use Kik. Kik is evil, no Kik. They might not even heard of Kik before. Instead, we have conversations about what apps they are using, how they're using them, okay? Then we're starting to open the door to that conversation and to educate them about what's okay usage and what's not okay usage. And then we're starting to have the conversation about what our expectations are. And by the way, if you don't live up to those expectations, there will be consequences. How many of us got the keys taken away when we were, new drivers back in the day? Parents, you don't have to raise your hand in front of your kids. I get it. All right? But you know where I'm coming from. Now here's the thing that's the scariest to me, is that as harmless as it might seem to somebody who doesn't have a fully developed cerebral cortex yet, they don't think like an adult, they're not making adult decisions. I'm sorry kids, I'm not trying to offend, I'm just saying, physiologically, neurologically, okay, you're not wired to think like an adult yet. That's not your fault. Okay, so parents, we can't expect them to make adult decisions. We need to help them make the right decisions. Does that make sense? So they get online and they make a mistake. It's really easy for a predator to prey upon that mistake. Okay, so there's an organization called Thorn. They created a great video. How many of you have seen this video before, the cat video? Nobody? Okay, well you're in for a treat. Thorne wanted to take on the issue of sextortion. Now here's another word that adults made up. We like to make these really, awesome words, like it's extortion, but it's, sex-based, so let's call it sex extortion. No, let's call it sextortion. Right? And that's exactly what it is. It's a new term, but it's an old game. It's exploitation, but we need to be aware of it. So I'm going to show you this video, and then we'll talk a little bit about, after that, how this plays out.
Okay, so you do a thing. You send a picture of yourself with no clothes on. Something you thought wouldn't be shared. And in a polite society, cats wear clothes, right? Anyway.
Sorry. Failed admission.
Seemed like a good idea at the time. But now, things have gone wrong. Terribly wrong. Maybe you shared the picture with someone you loved and trusted, but after a while, things weren't so friendly. Or they said they'd help you become a star. They just wanted to use you. Or maybe you met someone online and they really seemed to understand you. But then it got weird. And it turned out to be someone totally different. Now the person you shared the pic with is demanding more and threatening to tell. That's sextortion. Yep, that's a thing. The perpetrator relies on you feeling ashamed and keeping quiet. But they are the ones who should be ashamed. What they are doing is wrong. And it's never too late to find your voice to ask for help. Or too early to reach out to your friends to tell them you'll be there no matter what. In fact, you can stop sextortion before it starts by talking about it now. With support, you can do anything, and you can focus on the important business of being cats. So tell your closest friends today you've got their back no matter what.
So again, simple video. Is that impactful? And it's kind of cute too. That doesn't hurt. So I give you that as a resource. Thorne, it's a free video on YouTube. And we've already shared it with all these kids here, but more need to see it. And you know what? We need to have these conversations. We need to be open in having these conversations with kids, because if we're not having the conversations with kids, it's really easy for somebody online to exploit their innocence and their ignorance. Okay, so it's up to us to give them the tools to go out and make smart choices and to help them to make those smart choices and to hold them accountable to our expectations. Does that make sense, parents? Yeah? Okay, and on the topic of cyber, being good cyber citizens, the topic of sexting is only part of it. Cyberbullying is the other part. And cyberbullying is a big problem as well. As long as bullying has been a problem, cyberbullying is just bullying, only it's now moved to online. Here's the thing though, teens don't tend to think of online bullying as a big deal because it's really easy to see a computer terminal or another phone as just another phone, or a Facebook account as just another account. You see, if I say to somebody in real life what I would say online, sometimes I get punched, I get hit, they might strike back. But that doesn't happen on the phone, does it? I've never had a phone reach out. You can't say that. Okay? I have had Siri say, that's not nice. Anybody? Yeah, love Siri. But the reality is, right, again, we're talking about young people who have not developed a full executive thinking, functioning, they're not thinking like an adult. We can't expect them to think like an adult and act like an adult. So what we have to do is educate them and help them make smart decisions. So you remember when I said that this device is made for sharing? So what we want to do is help kids learn that the things that they're sharing on here, to your point, create a footprint. And what I mean by create a footprint is you can tell a kid that it's going to be online forever. It's going to create a footprint that everything they send is going to be there forever. They're going to say, shh, no it's not. But the reality is, yes it is. And I bet if you go to Fossil Rim where that footprint is, if we could rewind the clock 40 million years and I could look that dinosaur in the eye and say, don't step there, it's going to leave a footprint 40 million years from now, they'd say, no it's not. Okay. The reality is, it's the same way. It creates a footprint, it's traceable, it's online, it's forever. You can delete your account, it's still there. Okay? When we send things from one phone to another, they pass through a server, they get stored there forever. They're there, and somebody else gets to use them. When we post them on a website, when we post them on social media, you know what, you remember that long legal jargon pop-up window that came up that said decline or accept? You remember that? You know, when we're accepting that, what we're accepting is that anything we post on their website becomes their property and they can use it any way they want. In other words, they can store it indefinitely and they can recall it, they can share it. We can't get it back. As soon as we put it out there, we've lost all control over it. That's what we need to tell kids. That's what we need to help kids to understand. Once you hit send, it's too late. Okay? The time to make smart decisions is before you hit send. Because once you've hit send, it's too late, it's already out there. So we need to help them make smart decisions before they get to that point. Okay? And so I always encourage kids, and I'll share this with parents as well. I use the grandma filter. That's what I recommend. Right? This is the safest way, this is the easiest way for kids to understand and to think about what they're sending. Is it okay? Is it not okay to send? You know what? I know it's going to be hilarious to roast your friend. And you know that you might have a wicked burn and you're completely going to roast that person. You just have that one thing you're going to say. But I'm going to tell you, if you put it online, okay, if you put it online, that becomes the world's view of who you are. Right? And that's what kids need to understand. When they put things online, that's the world's view of who they are. The world gets to go on and see the things that they post and make decisions about what kind of person they are. That's going to follow them into college applications, job applications. Don't believe me? Look at the pro ball players who tweeted things back in high school that are losing millions of dollars in contracts over silly things they said back then. Or, you know, professionals who are getting fired from jobs because of single tweets. Look, we're all guilty of it, and we're all susceptible to it. But again, the time to make smart decisions about what we're going to send is before we've hit that send button. How many of us have ever said something in anger and then later thought, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that? Okay? Here's the thing. If you've done that in real life, though, you can in real life go, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. My bad. Okay? I'm sorry. But if you said it online, somebody else can get on there and say, yeah, what they said, and then some. Okay? And then it starts this snowball effect, and cyberbullying becomes this thing that is bigger, uglier, and has much longer lasting, much worse effects than bullying in person. Okay? So what I want you to take away, what I want you to understand is, you know, when I do parent education, I like parents to understand that this is a conversation that needs to happen on an ongoing basis. This is something we need to be aware of and something we need to be educating kids about. And as they're using the device, we need to ask the questions, how are they using the device? Okay? Kids. Hey kids. How many of you would like to know that your parents can read every text you've ever sent on your phone? How many of you would be like, no, that's cool, they can read it all. That's cool. Yep, every text I've ever sent. Good for you. Good for you, right? We got one. Yeah, I can tell you right now, I would not be okay with my parents reading every note I ever wrote in school and handing it up. Like, look, we say things, but when you put them on paper, when you put them in the digital world, they don't go away, okay? So think about, like I said, the grandma filter. Before you hit send, how many of us have ever sent an email or a text message or made a phone call to the wrong person, right? Yeah, oh, sorry, my bad. Well, what if that thing you say, that sweet burn you're going to put on your friend, that roast you're going to send out, what if you accidentally sent that to grandma? How would that go over? All right? That's the simplest way to think before you hit send. Okay, because if you're not okay, if you think grandma wouldn't be okay with it, then you don't want to send it. That's simple. Don't hit send. Okay, if it's a sweet burn and you just can't help but say it, then save it to the next day at school and then drop it right in front of their face where they can say, oh yeah? And right back at you, and you can have a little playful banter. But do not put it online because that lets the whole world see and think whatever they want to think about you. All right? This device is made for sharing. And just like a car, it has the ability to get us where we want to go, but also has the ability to have insane, terrible crashes with long-lasting effects. It's up to us as parents to empower kids with smart decision making and the right tools to be able to make those decisions before they get out there and wreck their lives or endanger the lives of others. Make sense? So at the Play It Safe program, I'm going to do a shameless plug because I'm all about shameless self-promotion. The Play It Safe program, we are mandatory in all elementary schools in Hearst, Euless, and Bedford. Okay? But when we talk about sexting and cyberbullying, that's in intermediate school. That's in high school.
Third grade, but it's really basic, like what is personal information? Why should you be really careful about who you share that stuff with when you're on the computer?
So I just say that to say this. If this is the type of thing that we feel like our kids need education about, the resources are there, and it's up to us to ask for it, okay? It's up to us as parents to ask educators to implement these things and make them available to our students. And I hope you will. And I hope you will also check out the HEB school ISD websites, because we're doing parent programs on sexting and cyberbullying, parent programs on how to talk to your kids about child sexual abuse without scaring them, and programs on educating your teens about teen dating violence, okay? We're doing those programs, and we've just wrapped them up over at Spring Garden. We're doing them again starting in November 6th, starting at Donna Park. And then we have an ongoing series. We have another session in one more school. Do you remember what other school it is? Off the top of my head, I don't remember. It's on the website though, check it out, and you guys please come out and invite other people to come out as well, other parents, and get involved, and let's create an educated community so we can have educated conversations and we can have safe kids and we don't have to worry about these things. All right? Any questions from anybody? Thank you guys so much for having us out. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So our next presenter tonight is Detective Jim Hobbs with the Hearst Police Department.
Can you hear me okay? Cops don't usually like to walk around with stuff in their hands. You ever notice? But have you ever heard of cyber police? Well, that's kind of what I do. I've been a cop for longer than most of y'all have been alive. I was a cop before I even knew cyber crimes existed. I never thought I would be doing this for 15, 20 years. So my job at the police department, I'm a detective, and I investigate cyber crimes, fraud, bullying, all kinds of stuff. And basically, I just want to say that I'm pretty excited to see this many people that are interested in cyber crimes and getting into that business. There's a shortage of people with that expertise. There's thousands of jobs in the DFW area alone. So I'm not the cyber expert. I've attended a lot of classes, all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to show you where some of this stuff is going. I learned it all mostly from the bad guys. They educate me. I go to college classes, but the bad guys are ahead of me most of the time. So from when I was in a class not too long ago, the FBI told us that there's enough cyber crimes and fraud in the DFW alone to support North Korea. Okay, just in the DFW alone. So we have, as small as City of Hearst is, and I work for a great city, and this is really a great city, we have enough crimes, cyber crimes, or technology crimes to keep two detectives busy all the time. So we have tons of them in all kinds of areas. So I want to really kind of say it's great, but there's also jobs in cybersecurity besides some of the stuff they talked about. There's law enforcement, there's the FBI. We have, some agencies have their computer crimes people. That's who we use to download stuff, get stuff off your computers. We have our own cell phone lab. But almost every, a lot of the crimes that we investigate have something to do with cell phones, the internet, something with technology, and it all falls around there. The weakest link in our cybersecurity is people. Everything they just talked about. Your passwords, your not putting stuff on there you shouldn't do. I'm going to show you how just what I'm seeing just in 2018. I can't go over all of them, but what I'm seeing in 2018, the kind of crimes. So you have the opportunity to go in different areas, depending on what you're interested in. So, meaning that you can go into the area where you're just trying to secure the networks, or you can go into investigations like the FBI, or like local law enforcement. Every agency I know has fraud or cyber crimes type people. All the cases they talked about, I have details up here. I'm just using this kind of PowerPoint as died. Should have been around to use it. So these are the most recent scams, and most of these are all over the internet or through texting, whatever. These are just a summary. Charity scams after the hurricanes. They're sending emails, texts, all kinds of stuff out to try to get people to stuff. There's the Medicare card, but all this has to do with them stealing your information off the internet. Fake check scams, Bitcom. I'm going to show you some, I'll go over them. And then some down here at the bottom that I have highlighted that are, I think, really important for tonight. There's just a ton of different crimes there are. And for example, we don't even realize what we're doing. This was a Medicaid card on the left. That was somebody's social security number that we published so bad guys can all have our social security number. The new Medicare card, like this one to the left, is going to have a unique number. So these are things that somebody came up with to try to help protect their identity. So there's the utility scams, social security scams, and I'll go into a little bit of details on these two. The fake, like I said, the fake check scams, skimmers. Have everybody heard of skimmers? Well, let me tell you, we had some in Hearst not too long ago, one of our banks. Okay? We had skimmers a while back that were this was on an ATM at the bank. But they're happening all over. The bad guys come up at night, they put a little device, I'm going to show you a picture, over the front of most of them on an ATM, it's over the front. Some of these are kids. They're bringing them from places, and that's their job, is to go put these skimmers on there. They put it on our bank at night, they take it off in the morning. They put it on at night, they take it off in the morning. So they put these skimmers can be all kinds of places. They can be on ATMs, they can be on gas pumps, they can be in gas pumps. You have a question?
So, like, how are they doing this?
I'm going to show you a picture real quick here in just a second. I don't know if you can really see there, but you see the extension? So, and I'll just kind of explain it. I was going to try to bring one, but basically, they get a part that is made to slip over to the outside. So it looks like the ATM, or if it's on the outside of the ATM like this one was. So what they did is they slid it over the front, and basically it's almost like it's double-sided taped on there. So when you see an ATM and that device is out there, it's the Wiglet or something like that. If it's not one you're really used to, because inside that skimmer, it's just like a USB drive, just like we all use, USB drive. Inside there, most of them are battery operated. It copies down the information. So basically, it's like one of these. This is when I use at work. When you slide your card inside an ATM or any kind of device that you're making a payment, it's got a little mag strip reader and it reads it. And it's capturing the data off your skimmer. Yes, sir.
So I guess the number of your cards
Yes. So what they do is they do that all night. They capture them all night. Our ones up here in our location, they actually mounted a little camera to capture your PIN number. So they can get your PIN and that information. So they do that a whole lot of time. They can put them inside gas pumps. So you don't even know it. So they put them inside gas pumps and they don't know. Some of the gas stations now, not all of them, have changed where if somebody opens a gas pump, because a gas pump's like a Coke machine. They sell the universal keys online. You can open up most gas pumps. I mean, they're changing, but you go open up that gas pumps, put a skimmer in it, unless all you do is unplug the wires, plug it in between, it captures all your data. On your back strip has your account number, your credit card number, your name on a lot of them, so I'm taking that off. It has all that on there. And then they just take a gift card or your driver's license or anything with a mag strip and they use the same device that writes that same information on there. And that's how they're able to buy online, or they just do it online. They just put your card number and stuff online. But they can put them in there. They can be in the little things when you go inside a store. I mean, there's only so much you can do. Picture doesn't show very well there. There's a handheld one. Okay, that's a battery-operated read writer. Right here, for $179. That's a new one. It's a Bluetooth. So now they can actually just slide it and download it to a computer without ever even doing it. You would just have to sit on there and download it. Even though I can put a ton on 8 gigabyte or 16 gigabyte things, that's a Bluetooth one. So you mount that inside there. They don't even have to pull back up to the pump. or up to the ATM to download your card data. The one over here on the right, $69, it's a kit. It's a read writer like this, and they send you with the blank cards, they send you with the instructions, and how to make credit cards. So, I work with tons of these. Where your information came from, who knows? We know our big box stores have been compromised. We know that the military's been compromised. We know anything can be compromised. So what I'm saying is, we have great technology people here to keep us safe at work. And that's what y'all are going to do if you become cyber people. But our weak link, from a law enforcement standpoint, is the person. They were talking about these bullying crimes. I'm going to talk about some of that. But the weak link's the person, because we share our information way too much. It's online. So, and then they pose as the government. They pose as they get your information. They fish you. So I'm going to give you an example. One of our healthcare, not one of ours in our city, but in the Metroplex. A healthcare company that stores all of these medical records we're talking about, basically, they store it and they make copies of it, but where they got hacked was the scammers went in and posed as text, and the company let them in. The security guard gave them a key. They walked in, they mounted their own server in the server room that they'd given them a pass to, that was white with blinking lights. They were wearing, because this was a setup, I'm just giving you an example of a setup test that was done. The guy walked in with a body camera, police body camera type thing, videotaping the whole thing. He wore a backpack that said hacker. He walked in to where all our medical records are, walked in, plugged that in, but you know what they knew? How they got in is they looked on Facebook, and they saw, ooh, Mike from IT is on vacation. So Mike from IT, which really wasn't Mike from IT, called him and said, this is Mike from IT. I got a tech coming, and we need him to fix this, but I got to go. I got a meeting at 5:30. I got to go. Let him in and give him access. Where's our link? Right there, a week and 10. So that's the first guy in. So he's wearing all that stuff, going in there, cool. Walks back, left his buddy in inside the window. They go in, they stay 4 hours in there. So the first thing you do is go get yourself a cup of coffee in the break room, because if you're walking around with a cup of coffee, you shouldn't be there. You wouldn't have a cup of coffee. So in the meantime, what they did is they also went around and used a USB drive with a program or malware on there that would download the keystrokes. They plugged it in, they walk up to somebody, hey, I'm from IT, I need to do something. You don't need to log off right now. Plug it in, Bluetooth all the latest keystrokes out to their van. They also went around, like all of us, where are your passwords? They're on sticky notes, they're on whatever. We all got these keep talking about protect your password. Well, they went around and took pictures, envelopes, passwords, took pictures. And before they left, they saw a FedEx dolly, and they went to the paper copies of our medical records, loaded boxes on there, and wheeled them out to their van, and even took the UPS thing. So all the security they built, Fort Knox, around these servers was because of human errors. Okay, so this was a paid company the company knew they were going to go see if they could get in. But there's lots of examples of that where they can do that. Our biggest thing is, from a police officer, is people are falling for these things online, on social media. All of us have gotten contacted by, I'm with Microsoft, and you've got problems, I need to log onto your computer calls. Microsoft doesn't call anybody. These are only scammers that are trying to get into here to download malware. Fake emergencies, people are falling for that. They're researching people on the dark web, which is where all of our information is. So is the FBI, but our information is on the dark web. The dark web is not necessarily a bad place, because some of the software law enforcement uses is from the dark web. That's how we have databases that we find you, if we need to find you on. We find every car. I can just tell you right now, I can look any of you up, especially any of the adults, and tell you most likely everywhere you've lived, every car you've owned, all your relatives, how much your house is worth, and your phone numbers, your employment, your driver's license number and social security number and everything, and we pay for that service outside the city. It's not something that's just it's not a law enforcement database. Now, they try to only sell it to law enforcement, but if you've got a crooked employee, you've got somebody that can buy a version of that, because now if you go get a part line or you do anything like that, they run a background check on you, and that's where you get that information. Work from home schemes, everybody's looking for a great job. Got lots of people unemployed now because they took these work from home jobs that were nothing but scams. They're gathering, because you send it, well, I need your bank account, so I do direct deposits. I need your driver's license, social security number, I need all that to work from home. I work a lot of cases from jobbuilders.com, Indeed, LinkedIn. I work a lot of cases where people have been frauded from those sites there. If you can go there, the bad guy can go there. And if you put your information out there, they have access to it. So then we have the dating scams. A lot of this, and this is not kids necessarily. This is adults. I'm going to give you a couple examples. I work a lot of cases where they get on these websites, Christian websites. Doesn't matter what the dating website is. I had a lady from Hearst just in the last couple of weeks, met a guy online. She ends up sending him $200,000. Okay, we were able to recover, or the bank was able to recover $109,000 of that, and maybe $30,000 more. But remember, Facebook, you can put any picture you want. You can create anything you want. The people on the other end are not the people you think you're talking to. Unless this is somebody you know, it's not necessarily you do. I'm saying to stay off of these sites. They look at your Facebook account. They want to know where you go. Of course, I'm real paranoid. I don't say I just checked in at the Hearst Library, or I just checked in at Fuzzy's Taco or whatever. I don't check in to let everybody know I'm on vacation, because all it does is take a little more research. Okay, so I know most kids don't use Facebook anymore, because when we work crimes with kids, they don't use Facebook. It's Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. It's Snapchat. But like what he's telling you, all this information, or all the stuff you've ever done, is on there. We pull that information. We pull pictures and videos from these people offline. Your phone's being tracked the whole time it's on. We can pull your phone number and see where you were all the time. Okay? We know where your phone was. Well, at least where your phone was. So we had a home invasion one time. They thought they were breaking in, but they're breaking in, but they didn't know there was going to be a 14-year-old kid with his phone. They broke in, they took his phone. So what did we do? We just tracked his phone. We've had the bad guys in South Arlington in an apartment. When they walked out, we grabbed the guy with the phone. So we can track that. So I'm just trying to emphasize that all that information is out there. Anytime you sign up for something, just because it's an Apple phone or it's an Android or whatever, even some of those games and stuff you're downloading can have malware on them. Just because it's on the Apple website doesn't mean it's not. So kids, be careful. Be careful what you share, what you sign up for. Okay, so I just want to tell you a few stories, and if there's any questions or anything, well, there are crimes. There's revenge crimes for doing stuff on there. There is, it is a crime if you are, like they said earlier, if you take pictures of yourself and you're under 18 and you send them to somebody else, even if they're adult, that's a child porn crime for you, okay? But we have some of our youth that are actually, I'm working these crimes, going on to dating websites that are underage, says you got to be 18. None of them are. And they're hooking up with older men. And their parents don't know this because they're using alias names. Almost every kid has an alias name out there. And their parents will see one, but they don't see the rest. They have no way of knowing. So, but they have alias names. And then these older men give money to these girls, or guys, doesn't really matter, give money to them for chatting with them, making friends with them, sending pictures. Sometimes the kids are offering the pictures for more money. One of them I interviewed a couple weeks ago said, it's easier than working. But a 40-something-year-old doctor flew here, flew to the DFW area from Florida, and met our high school girl in Northeast Mall Starbucks. and went to Victoria's Secret shopping and went in the dressing room together and left, and then whatever happened there, then left, and he went and paid for the stuff. And then they walking out, and there was another high school student there waiting with a camera, with his phone, taking pictures. And they weren't ever really honest with me, but the real picture was, not only were they getting money from him to begin with, but this was a setup to extort him for more money. Because the guy on the other end of the phone was waiting out there, was going, I know you're in the medical field, I know you're in the only way he could have known that was already known this was already going, and the only way he could have been waiting for this guy was only there. So what the problem with this is that the girl, so the guy, so as soon as I called the doctor in Florida, who's exposing himself, I mean, he's a pediatrician and he deals with women all the time, is that I didn't get a phone call back, except from a lawyer out of Harris County. So the lawyer has his people do the investigation from his side. Of course, he's only going to furnish what he wants. But they furnished me text messages from the girl offering stuff up that really inappropriate. And this guy didn't understand the law very well, but so he was, but they're talking about the age limit and all this kind of stuff and what the ages are. But basically, what boils down to this, for me to work that crime, I have to have those pictures. I have to have cooperation from the victim. So my guess is the victim violated the law for sending, she was underage, sending pictures and was too scared, even though I'm not really going after the victim, but, I mean the girl here, but she technically broke the law. She sent child porn out. And you don't want to get arrested for sending child porn out. That'll ruin your whole cyber career, pretty much, and college and everything else. But basically, we're not out to get them. But so what happened was I've got to have the evidence. So I've got to download your phone. And I'm going to see everything you ever did. And then I'm going to go after your social media accounts. Your Snapchats, your Instagrams, I don't care if you go to Pinger and some of these other places that hide your stuff. Okay, because then Pinger sells, so Pinger just decides to try to help you hide stuff. We're going to get all that, and we're going to get all those videos, and we're going to see everything you've been up to, and whatever, so then so does the defense attorney. And so your credibility may not look so good when you get on there. But these websites, things like sugardaddy.com, is what these girls in high school are getting on to make money. They're sugar babies. Yes, sir.
What do you know about, what can you talk about as far as, this is your last chance for your car's extended warranty?
I do not talk to anybody. If you don't, so here's the thing. They will record your voice on some of these scams. There's so many different scams. I could go on for all these scams. So if I call and say, hey, I call your number and go, is this so-and-so? And you say yes, and they recorded it. They may be about to scam you, use your voice to contact your bank or do something else. So there's a lot of scams. I mean, just a million of them out there that they do. So that, but they're looking at your social media. They're looking at that. They'll take a long time. How do they? The romance scams for these older people. When I say older, is anybody over 18. I got a guy that lives in Northhurst. He lost everything, more than $500,000. He fell in love online. It was with a male that sending pictures of a 30-year-old nice-looking girl from another country that was going to come over here and marry him, and she had $10 million in gold. And that's how she hit her lawyer, which was him, on the phone. They threatened me from Ghana. They threatened me and said they were going to do black magic on me and they were going to eliminate my family and blind me. I told them, go ahead, blind me now. I'll wait until tomorrow. Just go ahead and do it. So then they tried to, after they got all mad and did that, and they tried to get me to come to Ghana, and they were going to help me get his money back. And I said, well, how much is that going to cost me? And the guy says, oh, how about $20,000? Because they needed out over $500,000. How about $20,000 for my education and books? And I told him my tarot card reader and my palm reader could do it cheaper. So it didn't work. I didn't have $20,000, so the Earth is not going to send me to Ghana to meet with him. But we fall for those. I just had one last week. We have a lot of people. I have one right now where that I'm working right now where a 71-year-old lady left her husband over an internet romance scam. And now she's out $30,000. And she don't want to tell her husband. And it's because it may destroy the marriage. But she left him one night thinking this guy was coming from somewhere else and didn't do it. So basically my point here is that some of our weak points, there's things like this called rubber duckies. And if I'm a bad guy, I drop a rubber ducky or a USB drive with malware on it in your parking lot of your office. What are you going to do? You're going to pick it up, walk in, plug it in your computer, and download malware onto your computer. Yes.
I've actually heard of these from a game theorist thing where they were testing like security and stuff or whatever on YouTube.
Yeah, you can buy them
It was
online.
stuff like the pineapple thing where it makes its own Wi-Fi and you connect to it and
So they boot you off.
Well, it's just a show where they, first they use a weak computer system and try to copy fingerprints to use. And they use a really complicated one, and that one finally worked. But there was a big, like, expensive hotel room that uses some IUD one. And they used a paper copy of the fingerprint, and it still worked.
Well, let me tell you, nothing's foolproof. That's why we have to have people like Sonny and stuff like this full time. I mean, that's why we need people like y'all to go in this business. Y'all are already way ahead of most of anybody that's my age or Sonny's age, because y'all started way younger. There was no such thing as this. You're way ahead of it. You understand technology. But your cell phones are not safe. Online, I mean, I work with scams online, where they're getting your information online through through selling stuff online, just doing whatever, sending you fake checks and doing all this other stuff. They gather your stuff. People don't even know that they're being scammed. So if you don't, so basically as a cop, I tell everybody, if I could, I'd eliminate all these Craigslist and all these 5 Mile clubs and all that stuff. I'd eliminate that. I'd probably eliminate the neighborhood apps. I've never been on one, but because if somebody posts they're out of town, somebody logs onto it and goes, they're out of town, we can go burglarize them. So, because I work all these crimes where people show up, they're not the really person and they steal from them or they sell from all that. But a lot of stolen merchandise on these sites. But I'm just saying is there's a million scams, there's a million areas for you to go into. The credit card thing is just totally out of control. I don't know if I'm going to show you this for young kids that don't know this, but in other countries, they had chips long before we did. This was our answer, was put chips in the cards. They're useless. They're absolutely useless. One thing is, you go there, half of them don't work, which was supposed to have been done in 2016 or something. The other thing is, all I gotta do is put fingernail polish on it, take a hammer to it, or stick it in the microwave for a couple seconds, and now it works as a credit card. I don't need the chip. The device will do it. Some stores, I'm going to tell you, to be honest with you, the crooks already know it. You might as well the citizens know it. You stick your card in 3 times, it defaults to credit.
Yeah.
Okay? So they find the card on the ground, they don't know the PIN. Sometimes the employees tell them to do that. I've been in line when I heard an employee tell them to do it. Oh, I'm having trouble with my chip card. So, just stick it over here. Stick it in 3 times and then slide it. I mean, we see it all the time. So the chip has not really, they can clone the chip now too, but bad guys aren't going to go that much trouble. All you got to do is put fingernail polish or take a little thing, it'll make it malfunction, and now you got yourself a credit card that'll work with it pretty much anywhere. Of course, online, there's, you don't even have to have, all you do is have just the card number and the thing on the back. So when you go to a restaurant, you let your credit card walk off, and they have one of them little skimmers, and their little thing, they slide it. I've worked those cases where then they sell those numbers online. And so they just do that at the restaurant. So you let your card walk off, you give it off, you give it away. So my suggestion is separate your accounts. I have multiple banks. I don't want anything to completely get shut down. Have I been the victim of fraud? Maybe more than once. Has most of the people I work with been the victim of fraud? Yes. If you haven't been the victim of fraud, you will be. So, because we're just not that, it's called customer service. We don't want to inconvenience our customers. So, the solution to all this problem is our youth. coming up with ideas to prevent these things from happening. And the public's they're changing their thoughts. It used to be, when I got into fraud, if you asked somebody for their ID, it was real offensive. People took that as offensive. Now people really don't. But now, guess what? Some of the big box stores have signed agreement with some of the major cards saying they will not ask for ID. If you do, you will no longer have our service. So if you wonder why they don't ask for your ID, it's because that's an agreement they've got. So, so we don't really know, I mean, I know who these people, these stores are, I know all that stuff. But in reality is there's a million ways to do fraud. And so it's not just inside the cyber, inside where you work or your computer home. That's a problem. Sonny's had to fix my computer. I got one of those FBI lockups one time on my computer at work because we had to go to all kinds of weird things and do research. And I got the FBI warning that if you don't pay me, go to Walmart and buy a gift card, put money on it, pay me my $300, I'm not going to lock your computer. Well, I'm not putting $300 on the card. Didn't mean they'll really do it anyway. But they had to go wipe out my whole computer and reinstall everything. And you just hope it's not deep in the computer, which it wasn't. So clicking on attachments. And remember, the bad guys can make it look like your school. They can make it website. They can make it look like your teacher. They can make it look like anything they want. They capture websites. Okay. So they can make it look like you think you're going to the school, you think you're going to this because it came from them, they can make it look like it. And for you parents, I just want you to know, we worked a lot of cases lately where the kids' parents said, well, you're not going to have a phone. I'm telling you, you can have a phone, but we're turning your service off. The kids are using apps to do Wi-Fi. So they're communicating all day long at school. They're communicating when they're at their friend's house. They're communicating at Starbucks, at McDonald's, at whatever. They're using their phone. There's apps, which I use, which disguise my phone number. So when I call somebody on my cell phone, they don't get it, but it calls back to me. So they have all the same apps. They're free. And so that's how they can get around all this stuff. I mean, the kids are doing it. I mean, we worked a whole case with a whole bunch of kids in a major crime, and none of them had actually real cell phone service. Matter of fact, I don't know if all their parents even knew they had a phone, because we call them burner phones in law enforcement, but they have these extra phones, one for mom and dad and one for themselves, that they hide. They get them from all kinds of places and whatever. Phones end up missing all the time for people. Reports their phone got lost here, got lost there, and those phones. And you can actually tamper with a phone. You get a phone, even though you lock it down, they can go into the software program and add one digit on the end of the IME number, and now it can be activated anywhere. So on another network, so it doesn't matter. But technology is great. I enjoy it. I don't know why. Seriously, I never thought I'd be doing that because I spend all day trying to find bad guys all over the place. Researching and not really out on the beat, but there's very few cops that really like to do that. So if you're into that and you like and you want to carry a gun, and wear a badge, then come be a cop and you have to save these people because our crime rate in this country with fraud and cyber crimes is a lot worse than anybody can imagine. I don't even have a real grasp. I don't think anybody can have a real grasp on that. Then a couple other quick things besides that. I just want to let you know, be careful when you get money from anybody, you sell anything. Counterfeit money is very easy to do. We're getting a lot of counterfeit money. All you do is take a 1 or a 5, stick it in fingernail polish remover. It takes the ink off. You print a 20, a 50, a 100 on there with an inkjet printer, and you pass it. It'll pass the pen test. The pen test is useless. Pen test just checks for starch in the paper, so be careful. We're getting a lot of people selling stuff on Craigslist, selling cars, whatever. It's all counterfeit money. So on iPhone, on OfferUp, so counterfeit money, counterfeit cards. You just got to be careful. So any questions? There are crimes, and I'll answer any cop questions. I've been doing this a long time. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And that wraps up our evening for tonight. I'd like to thank all our speakers for today. I'd like to thank HBISD for their help in putting this program together, and all the staff and management and council members from the City of Hempstead. Thank you very much.